What's up, y'all? It's your girl Brandy back with another video. So by the title of this video, we just gonna jump right into it. These are gonna be three semi unpopular opinions, depending on what blog you're looking at, about Baddies USA Chapter 2. And I guess Baddies, the franchise in general. And if you're new here, I'm Brandy. Kind of informal video. I was watching another creator do an unpopular opinion, and she made so many good points. I just wanted to go ahead and just put this out there while I have everything fresh in my head. All right, so the first unpopular opinion that I want to highlight about Baddies USA Chapter 2, or just the brand in general, is that Baddies USA is getting too violent, and the anything within the Baddies brand, whether that be Bad Boys, the little Girls Gone Wild that they be having, and any other show that's really associated with it that has that kind of reality fight TV style. So the reason that I want to bring this up, and I feel like it's a semi-unpopular opinion in me, is because there are a lot more eyes on Baddies now. Like, that means that the show is very, very popular now. Millions of people are signed up to Zeus to watch these shows, and there seems to be this idea that, okay, we're watching the show for them to fight, so that's what they're supposed to do. But at the same time, where do you draw the line and what's acceptable for viewership? Because I feel like we're getting very much desensitized to a lot of the stuff that's going on. So let me tell you, Baddies has always kind of been very raw, but I feel that within the rawness that they've had, there was also some kind of there used to be this line drawn of what was kind of acceptable versus what's not acceptable. And I think where I started to get to the point where I started to get honestly concerned with some of the things that I was watching, and I don't want to be that girl at all, because when I first started watching Baddies, I was like, oh my God, this is my like, I loved it. My favorite Baddies season to the south, to this day, is Baddies South, followed by Baddies Gone West. There was just something so raw and authentic about it at that time. But there just seems to be this thing where it's like it goes too far sometime. And I think for me, where I really started to notice that, okay, this is becoming a lot, was with the whole spitting thing that first happened on, I think it was Baddies Caribbean, when Bianca spit on Sapphire. I was so shocked that they aired something like that. I thought it was so nasty and so disgusting for her to do something like that. And I know we want raw stuff, but there's reasons why shows cut out certain things, because I mean, I don't know the backstory of that, but I would just assume that it has something to do with not traumatizing viewers, or making sure that you're not just broadcasting violence. You wouldn't broadcast the murder, so why would you broadcast, certain types of like violent acts? And so, okay, spitting, that's when I started getting concerned. But I think where I really just was like, I had to take a break from Baddies was, I think it was USA Chapter 1, whatever season it was, where Suki maced everybody. And unpopular opinion about that, because I'm not going to stay on this much too long, because it kind of goes into my next point. Unpopular opinion about that, I feel like Suki was lame for macing using the mace first of all. And I don't like how she never was really held accountable for that, and hid behind this, I'm doing this for Black people, because you have this racially ambiguous, questionable person that's using the N-word. At the same time that you're trying to be this pro-Black woman, you maced a bunch of Black women on stage. I was so shocked to see that footage. And again, with Baddies, we've seen most of everything. We've seen people get spit, tripped, choked, slammed, punched, beat up really bad, like snuck. We've seen all type of things, with fans fighting. But that type of like violence with Mace is like crazy. I have to tell y'all about my Mace story one day. I'm not gonna get into it in this video, but Mace is not a joke. And there are some people watching that like thinking it's all fun and cute until you actually get maced and you can barely breathe, or you choking on your spit, don't know if you're gonna make it, because mace is not a fucking joke. It's a little chemical agent. So I was so shocked by that. Like, it's getting out of hand, in my opinion. And even with the fighting, like, it's just so violent. It's just crazily violent. I couldn't imagine having access to that kind of TV and stuff when I was a kid. Like, that would definitely encourage me to do some, well, I wouldn't even say it would encourage me, but it would probably desensitize and normalize that kind of behavior. Like, the kids and stuff have access to this stuff now. So I just feel like, as much, I don't know, it's just too violent. That's my unpopular opinion. It's getting too violent. Some might people say, oh yeah, we watch it for that, that's the reason. Yeah, we watch it for the shock value, but it gets to be too much. Oh, one more thing. Oh, you know what, also one more thing that I want to highlight. So where I started getting concerned with how violent the show was because of the spitting and the macing. The other one was the one when Tommy used the gun and she shot at the girls with that BB gun. That shocked the hell out of me too. I said, okay, somebody's gonna get sued, because I definitely would have sued somebody if I was on a show and that something like that happened to me. That is crazy. All right, so getting to my second unpopular opinion about Baddies USA Chapter 2 is that these women are ruining their brands and they don't even know it. Now, stay with me, right? So one could argue on one hand that they're making money, they're having these amazing opportunities, because some of them do have brand deals. They have brand deals with boutiques, Fashion Nova, there's just various entities that they can show up, do bookings and brand deals for and things like that. However, the creator that I was watching, she brought up a point about Lexus Colgate commercial, and I remember I was reading through some comments, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I can verify this, but one of the young ladies that commented on that when they brought about the whole Colgate thing and they were making fun of Lex, was saying that she worked for Colgate and they were very kind of not, she didn't make it sound like they were like scrambling to shut this down, but they said that they were unhappy with this because that does bring a kind of like bad PR to the company. So when she said that, a lot of people were saying like, why wouldn't they want her as attached to their brand? And it's very, very simple. These major brands that advertise, they have major corporations that have massive influence, and they're usually very family friendly, and they want a specific type of audience to buy their product. They have to be very careful with who they have promote their products. And so it's all cute, it's all fun and games. They're getting their bookings, they're making this money, they're associated with celebrities, because celebrities are shouting these people out. I'm not saying that they're not, don't have opportunities and they don't have influence, but I think it's going to be very short-lived. And I don't think outside of anything that's immediately a Baddies or reality TV associated, or lower tier reality TV associated, that they're going to have many opportunities. And one of the content creators, I can't remember what her name was, she was saying that Lex pretty much ruined her brand. She had a bachelor's degree and she decided to come on the show. And just to point her out, to make my point about all the women coming on there, regardless of how you feel and the opportunities that they have, having a long-term, like, sustainable brand with an actual mainstream audience is going to be very hard for them to do, because of how they branded themselves with this show. But going back to my point with what the creator was saying about Lex is, this is going to be very short-lived. I guarantee you in about 2 or 3 seasons, Lex is going to start trying to be like Rolly and Biggie and Natalie and some of the OG girls like Scotty and Krishan, who ultimately first came on the show fighting and doing what they need to do, and doing all that, and then kind of taking more of a backseat role and not wanting to fight. I guarantee you that's what's going to end up happening. And then it's all, like I said, it's all fun and games when you're fighting, you're the talk of everything, but then in a year or two, when they run out of Baddies ideas or something happens, then what are you going to do? So I just think that, again, my second popular opinion is that I think they're ruining their brands. And again, some people might argue like, yeah, they're okay. They have these brand deals, but I just don't think that any of them are ever going to really be able to pop out mainstream. They're, I don't think they're ever going to be able to do any A-list real life production company type movies. They're going to be stuck with Tubi. They're not going to be able to do like super duper, New York Fashion Week type brands. They're going to be stuck with, Fashion no shade and Shein and these kind of lower tiered, brands. And that's just my opinion because of how they branded themselves with this show. It's violent. It's just, y'all are just glorified boxers. I mean, y'all are, well, not even glorified boxers. I would say glorified street fighters at this point. And then that goes into my final unpopular opinion, I guess, would be there's no authentic storyline in this show, and I think I don't think that's a good thing. I don't know exactly how to shape that popular opinion, but what I mean is that the show isn't a show anymore. It just seems like this shock value session that we're getting constantly. And the reason that I have this unpopular opinion is because a lot of people have been saying that the show doesn't need a storyline. The show doesn't need a storyline. We're watching for the fights and things like that. And yes, we're watching for the shock value and the fights and the rawness of it and our connection to these media personalities. And we want to see what's going on with them. But at the same time, the thing that's starting to annoy me with Baddies, and I will continue preaching this to the high heavens, is that we often as the audience are left in confusion about what is going on in the show. Like, okay, I've been seeing this since Baddies South, but they leave out a lot of what the viewers should know. When Baddies USA Chapter 2 first started, when they were all in that area, it was like, I think it was like one of the first 3 or 4 episodes when they were in that like room auditioning. And all these fights were breaking out. And I just kept saying, wait, why is she fighting him? Why is she fighting her? Why is she fighting her? Him, sorry. Him. What was wrong with me? Why is she fighting her? That's what I kept saying. And everybody was like, well, that don't matter. I'm like, yes, it does. I need to understand what's going on. To the extent we do need some type of storyline. That's why we're watching it. If I want to just watch brawl all day, then I will just go and type fights, girl fights, or I will go on Facebook and pull up, pull up a live or something. Like I feel like Zeus owes it to us to give us some type of storyline or some kind of explanation about what's going on. And we're often left in the dark about that. Like throw in a clip of what the Twitter beef or what beef there was, because a lot of these people I'm just finding out, I'm just seeing them for the first time. Like for real, y'all, I didn't watch a lot of the Now That's TV stuff, so a lot of the Now That's TV girls are on here. This is my first time actually figure out who Pressure is, and she's like become one of my favorites, right? But I never knew what the beef was. Like there's all this stuff going on and they don't give us any clarity, and I would argue that Zeus is getting lazy with that, and it's just kind of like, okay, here we just gonna throw a bunch of them around, somebody gonna fight here. We don't even have to make it make sense anymore. And I'm honestly, I'm getting fight fatigue. I'm getting fight fatigue with a lot of this. It seems that it's getting to the point where they're like, okay, we need something. They're used to the fights. Now we got to make the fights more violent or more, there needs to be something crazier within the fights. And it's just like, okay, I think it's just gonna get to a point where they're gonna go too far. They've already gone too far with a lot of the incidents and things that I've heard of behind the scenes. But yeah, because I mean there's an episode where a guy literally kicks somebody on Bad Boys. He kicks somebody and knocks him out. I thought that was the craziest thing I ever seen, and they actually aired that. If I was the guy that got knocked out, I would sue the living piss off of them. But I don't know what their contract's looking like if they just, can't sue. But that's my unpopular opinions. And thank you guys if you've watched this video. Let me know what your popular opinions are. If you agree with me, if you don't, I'd love to talk more with you about that. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.